Hi, everybody. I was scrolling through YouTube and I came across a DNA mystery. And I decided to get in touch with the people concerned and see if this was a mystery that I could solve. Hi, everybody. I am Brenda with Team Puerto Rico at DNAngels. And you are not going to believe the client story I have for you this week. Now, if you've been watching our videos, you would know that every week we tell a client story. And this is people who have reached out to us and, with their concerns that they don't have the information of their biological parent and they want our help, right? So this one, though, I was, just like all of you out there, just scrolling, trying to entertain myself with something on YouTube, looking for something funny, looking for something interesting. And I came across this video of this best-selling author who was telling her story about how she came to find her bio mom. And the way she did it was obviously taking a DNA test and it telling her that she had a sister, and that sister and her combined figured out that who the bio mom was and that they were siblings, right? Now, she told this story years ago on a very I want to say well-known genealogy show that I'm sure everybody watches, right? So she's on this show and I'm of course interested, and I listened to it, and in it discussed how she hasn't found her bio father. And I'm thinking to myself, well, clearly, this was, years ago, this, little video that they made for her. And I said, she has to have already known her, bio father, since then. So I'm thinking to myself, but man, if she really has gone all these years where she hasn't known her bio dad, maybe I should reach out to her and see if she already knows. I figured this very prominent show that figured out her mom, well, by now they should have figured out her dad, right? So I go ahead and I look her up on Facebook, Google Facebook, and I find that she has a Facebook presence, right? And it says, she's, this very best-selling author. And I'm thinking, oh, she's not gonna reach back to me like, she's got better things to do. But I still send out a message request, and I, put in the messenger, hey, I watched your show. I was really touched, by your story, and have you, gotten the information of who your bio dad is. And I left it at that, thinking, she was never going to reach back to me. And she did. And she said, no, I have not. I do not know who my bio dad is. And I'm thinking, holy smokes, this has been years that she took, the Ancestry DNA and was, on this program, and they haven't figured out her dad. Oh my God, I wonder if I could help. Now, mind you, this is an African American case. So right away, I'm asking her, well, what's your, matches like? What's your highest centimorgans? Because when it comes to African American cases, when you're trying to get up there in the ancestors, well, they weren't really documented, right? So it's so hard to do the research and get a clear picture of the ancestry, the actual, ancestral lines. So I ask her, is your, ethnicity possibly, Jamaican, because it's really hard to get into those records. Could it possibly be, up in Canada and part of England, the Bahamas, that either, now I'm going to get it stuck in my head. Anyway, so I'm asking her about this, or, oh my God, I'm thinking to myself, please, please, please don't be ethnicity from North Carolina. Sorry, North Carolina, but the endogamy in North Carolina can drive a person crazy. So I get her DNA, she vets us, because obviously here's this, strange woman reaching out to her in Facebook. And so she vets the organization and me to make sure that, we're valid. And she decides to take a risk and, says, hey, yeah, take a look at my DNA. Go ahead and build me a tree. See if you can figure out who my bio dad is. So I grab it, and right away, you guys, all of you who know about centimorgans, the ones that don't, it's probably not going to think anything of this, but all of you guys out there, it wasn't bad, but nobody really wants to start at like 262 centimorgans. You're wishing for those really high ones to get you up into the family cluster, the unit that you need. But I was like, I can work with this. And so started building out her tree, and luckily she has these matches that are taking her into this one family cluster. Now, I'm not going into names here and everything because, like I said, this is a best-selling author. She's been on a couple of these well-known genealogy shows, and of course, I'm not going to put out the name of the family cluster, but I'm doing the work, and I'm telling her, I'm keeping her abreast of what I'm doing. And as I tell her, hey, there's this family surname, and I'm going to throw out a fake name there. So I'm going to use, I'll call it like, Jiminy Cross. We'll use that. So this cross family cluster, I'm getting a lot of DNA matches in it. And I tell her, I said, hey, I know you did 23andMe. Can you give me the matches of 23andMe so I can see if I can, put in any more of these cross descendants so that I can make a clearer picture and maybe find the bio dad unit? So she says, sure, I'll give you the matches. But hey, wow, that is really interesting that you are telling me that I may be a descendant of a cross ancestor. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, okay, why is that interesting? And she says, well, I found, because she's adopted, right? So she says, I found two siblings that they were also adopted, and their family is cross. In fact, their dad is this cross guy. And I was like, really? And immediately, little bells are like ringing in my head. And I'm thinking, oh crap, oh wow, what did I miss? What did I miss? Because where is she saying she's got these siblings that are possibly cross descendants when I am not seeing any siblings on her DNA? And so I'm asking her, oh, okay, so obviously not with the Ancestry, obviously not with the 23andMe. Where did your, these two other siblings test? And she says, well, they are on Ancestry. And I'm like, no, no, they're not, because I'm doing your DNA and you don't have any siblings in your paternal line. And then she proceeds to tell me, well, these are their names. They're on my list. And so I look and I'm like, yes, they are on your list, but these are your siblings that proved your bio mom. They are not paternal siblings. And she's like, well, they were adopted and they were always told who their biological dad was. And I'm like, did I miss something? And I'm like, no, they're not sharing any shared matches with any of this cross descendants. They're not showing up as full siblings. They're not showing up that there's any crossovers, that the matches are saying, that they're related on both sides. And so immediately I know, crap, I'm going to have to tell this woman that her siblings are definitely not related to these cross descendants, this cross family, right? So I spent a couple of more days, working on this case because it was honestly very quick, the conclusion I came to. And then, oh my God, here comes the twist, right? I have to tell her, I hate to mention this. I always hate to burst people's puzzle bubble. God, I can't even talk. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, because I know you told me that these siblings grew up their whole life thinking that this cross man was their bio dad. And I'm going to name him Alex Cross, you guys. This is not your sibling's bio dad, because Alex Cross is your dad. Oh my God. I was like sweating it. I was like, oh my God. I'm telling, this lady finally some great news about her bio dad, but how is she supposed to move forward and say, and scream it from the rooftops, I finally know who my dad is? And then those siblings be like, what? We have the same dad? And for her to say, no, he's my dad, but he's not your dad. Oh, I did not want to deliver that news. I just can't believe it. But she took it in stride. She said she was so sad for her siblings, but she was over the moon to finally, after 60 plus years. Oh, shit. Oh, sorry, you guys. It's my little chihuahua, and he rubbed up against me. I thought I had a bug on me. It's really late at night here. So sorry, now I'm like jittery. So she was over the moon, and she just couldn't believe that after all of these years, she finally has the last piece of the puzzle for herself. And she was very, very ecstatic and thankful. And, I was really, I'm going to say proud. I was proud that I was able to give her something that she should have known all the way from the beginning. I mean, I know there's so many lovely adoptions taking place, in the world, but so much of it, wasn't above board. And so she has decided to tell her siblings that her great news about finally knowing who her bio dad is. And she reached out to them. They were very appreciative of the information, because, I did provide the information how we arrived at that conclusion. And she has informed me that she will have her sister also come to me for help. So I am so thrilled to hopefully provide her with an answer, just like I did for her sister. So for all of you guys who follow me, I want to let you in on a little secret. I have not provided any information about who the client was, but if you stay tuned, she will be with us at the end of the month for our podcast. So, sorry about that, guys. My video cut out. What I was trying to say was, will all of you leave our client a white heart down below in the comments to show your support? And don't forget, we are doing our July fundraisers. It's called Angels Among Us. And you too can be an honorary angel if you just go to www.DNAngels.org and donate. Bye, everybody.